It's time for today's face-off on Fox Soul. Challengers Quale X and Big Angry Adams, ready to go blow by blow on those hot topics. Face-off on Fox Soul starts right now.
Mogul Sean Diddy Combs back behind bars. A magistrate judge denying him bail, saying that there were no conditions that she could conceive of that would make her confident that he would appear again for other court appearances. The judge saying, "My concern is this is a crime that happens behind closed doors." Diddy's lawyers had argued that he had made good faith efforts by showing up in New York, ready to surrender to face these charges. But prosecutors said that he could not be trusted, that he has a history of trying to intimidate witnesses, including some who are going to be witnesses in this case. They urged the judge to remand him. She did. And when the judge did, Diddy, who was sitting at the defense table with his attorneys, did not show any signs of emotion. He took a sip of water before he was led out of the courtroom by the U.S. Marshals. Now, his lawyers have vowed to fight this. They are going to be back in court on Wednesday before the judge who will oversee this trial and try to get Diddy to be released.
In this round, here's Quale X.
Charles, everybody's been waiting to hear what we have to say about the P. Diddy situation and the P. Diddy arrest. The pundits have said what they have to say. Those who watered down, scared to death bootlickings, hide behind curtain, newscasters, entertainment figures, politicians, lawyers, and attorneys, they've weighed in, but they have really given a watered down approach. We have to speak that which others are afraid to say and speak it without fear. That's what this show is about.
You better spit some fire with that kind of opening.
Mike, P. Diddy should have received a bond. Why? Because he came in 2 weeks earlier from California to be in New York waiting the indictment upon these charges. His attorneys were already informed by the government that he would be indicted. He did not run when his lawyer said, "They've informed me you would be indicted, a pending indictment is coming." He didn't run then. He didn't hop on a private jet and run then. 2 weeks before, he handed over his passport. All of his children handed over their passports, and he was willing to accept any strict conditions of the judge and the court. He was willing to pay as much as a $50 million bond, the highest federal bond given to anyone charged with these same exact crimes as P. Diddy. But for the judge to turn right around and say, well, these crimes happen behind closed doors, so I cannot trust he will come and show up for trial, that's a damn lie. Most of these crimes that's conducted and committed by rich, affluent people happen behind closed doors. He should have received the bond. I'm not saying he's innocent. I'm not saying he's guilty. That's for a jury to decide. But what I am saying is I think they're using bond as a way to punish him, and he should have been given bond.
I think this is just downstream from your unfamiliarity with the federal system. I agree that bonds should be much more widely available in federal criminal prosecutions. In federal criminal cases, that whole thing is rigged, right? If you get arrested, any type of serious crime, it's very unlikely you'll get a bond, right? Unlike most state systems, where here in Houston, Texas, we got to have a revolving door. You can kill people and you just get right out, right? The trial, just the mechanism of it. If you don't turn around and drop a 5K and snitch, you get punished on the sentencing guidelines. If you take your case to trial, you get punished on the sentencing guidelines. We have a federal criminal justice system designed to make defendants afraid to fight for their freedom. And it's disgusting. But the issue here is he's not entitled to a bond. In many states, in the state of Texas, you have a much more robust state constitutional right to it. Now, he did do certain things. I agree. There was some talk when his homes were raided that he fled to Antigua because his jet was tracked there. He did not. He has the wherewithal. There was some scuttle, some rumor mongering that he was in Bali, Indonesia, hiding out with Russell Simmons, who has notoriously refused to come back to the United States and has said he ain't coming back because of allegations of sexual assault against that billionaire. I have no doubt in my mind that if Diddy wanted to flee, Diddy could have fled. as an attorney, as an officer
So
of
you
the
don't
court.
think the judge is punishing him by not giving him
I
bond?
just don't think
when we
you
know
have a federal
this
right to
man
it.
could have been fled. That judge had the power and authority to grant him bond. We have people on January 6th who people died at the Capitol.
Nobody
and
died.
people were charged with conspiracies, and they were allowed to remain out on bond, and they tried to overthrow the United States government. They tried to usurp the United States Constitution, and they were allowed to have bond after being charged with conspiracies. So at the end of the day, this man could have been left the United States. He had the wherewithal, the means, the money, the power, the transportation, right before him with a private jet, several of them. The judge knew he turned in passports. All of his kids turned in passports. He came in 2 weeks earlier to be there to surrender. How in the hell he's a flight risk?
Well, I mean, you had a drag in January 6th. First of all, plenty of people were held without bond.
And a lot of them were not.
You're right. A lot of people were just arrested for walking around. The only person that actually died that day, and I forget her name, was the woman that was trying to climb through the window after they broke it, and she got
The
shot
military
by
lady.
the unarmed woman that was shot by the police officer. But I'm not here to defend January 6 rioters. Of course, I also wasn't here to defend people that were looting and rioting in the social justice protests of 2020.
But Epstein got a bond.
Oh, yeah, which is crazy. Epstein,
Let's be real now.
Epstein got all kind of special stuff.
Epstein got a bond.
And you want to hear why? And I ain't going to tell you this. You're not going to hear this. Because Epstein had videos of politicians doing things with kids.
Do you really
Whereas
believe
Diddy just
that you don't think
videos,
Puff Daddy does?
No, I think Diddy has.
Baby.
Diddy
This
has
case
videos
will
of
never go to trial.
entertainers.
This case will never go to trial. You know why? Because Donald Trump partied with Diddy. Kamala Harris partied with Diddy with Willie Brown in the 90s.
Okay.
There are other politicians that partied with Diddy. Even prominent spiritual pastors, T.D. Jakes, partied with P. Diddy. It ain't nowhere in hell this case is going to go to trial, because could you imagine P. Diddy's witness list? Could you imagine the folks he could put on stand as his witness list? Hillary Clinton hung out with P. Diddy privately. Could you imagine her and Slick Willie Bill being called on the witness list, Trump and Kamala on the witness list, other politicians who went to visit Diddy and entertainments, white and black, being called to testify? This case will never go to trial.
Okay, well, the fact that if it doesn't go to trial, it's going to be either because he entered a plea bargain agreement and cooperated, which I don't see. I think he's the head of the snake for the U.S. Attorney's Office. I don't think they're going to be able to offer up anyone else that would get them to give him a sweetheart deal.
So you mean tell me if
But
he got sex tapes involving former presidents and presidents,
Look, first of all,
that's not the head of a snake?
The thought of Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton on that 50-foot all-white orgy bed that P. Diddy had in his backyard, I don't want to think about that. Stop putting that nastiness in my head, Quanell.
But you
I
can,
don't want to think about Hillary Clinton broke over on P. Diddy's orgy bed.
But you can
I don't want to think about it.
But you can read about Slick Willie Bill Clinton having
here's
sex
the
with
thing.
Monica Lewinsky on the desk in the Oval Office and screwing her with a Cuban sugar. You can read about that, but you can't picture
I don't want to
Hillary
read about
Clinton.
it.
And I'm going to tell you something.
I don't want to read about it.
I guarantee you, if Hillary was on that boat and Bill was on that boat.
There's no evidence to suggest that.
In the backyard.
Here's the thing.
Hillary wasn't doing nothing to Bill.
No doubt.
And Bill wasn't doing nothing to Hillary.
Look at the
I
sweetheart
guarantee
deal.
you they was doing something to somebody else.
At the sweetheart deal that Epstein got from the U.S. Attorney's Office in Southern Florida, it was very clear that he had leverage.
And P. Diddy is being treated much differently.
I do not think Diddy has the leverage, right? I think that Diddy's, like as an officer of the court, you can't suggest someone run.
And why everybody has not been named who went to Epstein Island? Why those names have still been kept confidential?
Here's the theory. Nobody wants to, but let me tell you my wild theory. Okay, his attorney encouraged him to go to New York, right? His attorney, a good faith effort to the judge. Anybody that regularly practices federal criminal defense knew Diddy wasn't getting a bond.
Epstein got one.
Hold on. As an officer of the court, you can't tell your client.
The freak producer
Hey, man,
out of
hold
Hollywood
on
got
his bell.
one.
As an officer of the court,
freak producer out of
as an
Hollywood
officer
got
of the
one.
court, you cannot tell your client to flee, but you can say, hey, but that attorney doesn't make all this money. He doesn't get his name all over paper unless Diddy comes in and turns himself in. I'll tell you, Russell Simmons did the smart damn thing. Diddy should be in Bali with Russell.
being that young and being in the industry and not knowing where to turn, and everyone, you know, telling me they love me and, you know, just turn their back on you in a second. So if she ever needs me, I'm gonna be here for her. But yeah, just protecting those moments, because people take for granted encounters, and I just want to protect her, you know? I don't want her to go through anything I went through. I don't wish that upon anybody. Yeah, if she ever needs me, I'm just a call away.
Do you realize how important your story is? Every time I have a conversation with someone who's been through this unique type of experience, I'm searching for some kind of truth that can help.
I commend you for going there and asking the tough questions and the things that people don't want to talk about, and they don't want to go there because it's revealing and it's...
In this round, here's Charles Big Angry Adams.
You know, Quadell, that was Justin Bieber, international superstar, pop star, referring vaguely to experiences he endured as a young pop star, with some comments added by a TikTok pundit above in writing. But a lot of people are talking. There's a lot of people that are talking about Justin Bieber as if he was a party, not a victim, as if he was part of the problem. There are videos floating around of a very young, underage Justin Bieber with Diddy that are frightening, that are disconcerting. There are, you know, Usher, apparently there are people trying to tie his deletion of all his tweets after the Diddy arrest, and people trying to drag Usher into this as well. I've met Usher a few times, seems like a very genuine, sincere person, but this is horrifying. But equally, I don't see Justin Bieber, and a lot of people, oh, cry me a river, you super rich pop star. But we've seen this story unfold before, like Corey Haim and Corey Feldman being victimized as young actors in the 80s. We've seen story after story of this pedophilia that has infested and lingered in Hollywood. And if anything, I think Justin Bieber is yet another potential victim. His father-in-law, the actor Stephen Baldwin, just put up a TikTok video this week. Can we see that, please, Matt?
You have heard the expression, the calm before the storm. There is always a calm before the storm, but then so is there another calm after the storm. There's a calm and then a storm and then another calm. And in that latter calm is the preparation for the next storm.
Now, Stephen Baldwin has a reputation for being white guy crazy, right? He is the black sheep of the Baldwin family. He's very conservative. He's very religious. Sometimes he's sincere. Right? I mean, in fact, obviously he is vaguely... I thought he was a
transsexual for a second.
He's vaguely...
I didn't know if that was a man or a woman we were watching or listening to.
That's the famous star of Biodome with Pauly Shore.
He sounded like he was the Joker in full costume there for a second. The calm before the storm.
Look, it's clearly a reference to what's going on with his son-in-law, the parent to his future grandchild. You tell, what are your thoughts?
That man look crazy as hell.
Yeah, maybe he is.
Now,
what do you think? Let's get back to Bieber.
Let's move on from that crackpot. For those who are saying that Justin Bieber probably was a willing participant and a problem in these quote-unquote freak-offs with Diddy, remember Justin Bieber wasn't nothing but a little boy when he was sent to be managed and chaperoned by P. Diddy. So don't you dare blame that child for what happened to him and what took place. But I will say this, if that young boy ever told our brother Usher of what was taking place and what happened to him, it was Usher's responsibility, since he sent Bieber to P. Diddy, to go and bring that boy back home and tell Diddy, keep your damn hands off this child. And if Usher didn't do that, then Usher is complicit in what happened to Justin Bieber also. I don't like none of this, but there are too many people who are portraying themselves as victims in the freak-offs who were willing participants and having a whole lot of fun behind closed doors. A lot of people are portraying themselves as victims in these Diddy freak-offs because they don't want to be charged and indicted for similar sex crimes like P. Diddy. They're portraying themselves as victims now, but they was using those freak-offs as ways to advance themselves in their quote-unquote entertainment careers, music careers. They were getting financial benefits. Hell, some of them were bringing members of their friend constituencies to Diddy for these quote-unquote freak-offs. So everybody who was in a freak-off wasn't no victim.
No, I mean, obviously everyone that was in a freak-off wasn't a victim. But there are plenty of victims in the wake of Diddy that people have just ignored for years. Let's go back to the Belizean rapper Shine, right? Who took the fall for Diddy in the shooting incident that had Diddy and J-Lo arrested in, I think, 1999.
We're talking about sex crimes. We ain't talking about nothing but no damn shooting incident.
But hold on. People forget. Diddy testified, gave statements against Shine's interest and let him go to prison for, what, a decade? Diddy has a long history. Let's think, remember Mace. Mace was on top of the world with Diddy. On top of the world. And all of a sudden, he's vanished, right? He's gone. He's in Atlanta. His career was over. He was broke. Now he built himself up. You know, he became a pastor. Now he's got this huge podcast.
Yeah, he was involved in the prosperity gospel.
Hold on.
And when the hustle got weak with the prosperity gospel, he went back to doing a podcast. Now just left the church.
But everyone, just like, remember, not just Epstein destroying people. Harvey Weinstein had a long history of like Mira Sorvino, where she wouldn't succumb to his aggression, so she had her career sabotaged. There are tons of actresses that Harvey Weinstein, this monster, destroyed careers
and
because
he
they wouldn't
got
sleep
a bond,
with them. Right?
And he was given bond.
I get the bond argument. There's no way.
And you and I both know these are really state crimes.
No, they're not.
That Diddy is charged with.
No,
these crimes that Diddy is charged with are really state crimes, not real federal crimes.
No, they're federal
because
crimes.
if he transported prostitutes from one city or one state to another, if those prostitutes were willing prostitutes and had a financial agreement and understanding with Diddy to go to the freak off and be a freak at that party, if they was willing, then they are not victims. So where's the victim crime in that?
Why are you assuming the willingness?
But why are we assuming that every woman who traveled from one state to another to go to a Diddy party was forced to go there?
I don't think they are.
Or tricked to go there.
I think there is a tremendous amount of evidence, right, that he is a long-time criminal who has acted with impunity. I do think, well, clearly the assault of Cassie, a state crime.
And that's
right?
a crime.
And it most certainly is.
And any woman that was forced, that is a victim.
Okay.
Any man that was forced, they are victims. But all of those who helped participate and was involved should be charged also.
It's a federal crime, and Diddy's going to get at least 10 years in prison.
Yeah, like first he was amping him to get stopped. Then he was like, yo, when we gonna get the chance to, to kick it, like we could just hang out.
All right, Quanell, that's 50 Cent. I know we didn't do a face-off friend or F-up of the day. I think Diddy's got to be the face-up friend of the month. He's been, not Diddy, 50 Cent, he's been screaming about Diddy for years. He's been working on a documentary about Diddy for 10 years. Netflix just bought it. Diddy Do It. What a great title. This is 50 Cent has been pushing back. Now, I do think there's some homophobia in his comments, and I do think a lot of the hip-hop culture is pushing so hard against Diddy right now because it's very clear that he's bisexual and there's been all kind of weirdness. But I don't care about that. I don't care if you're sexually aggressive in raping women or raping men. I don't care what you're. But Diddy has been, 50 Cent has been pushing back about Diddy for years, has been calling out Diddy for his creepy behavior for years. And now finally people are listening, and I shout out, applause to 50 Cent.
50 Cent, it is true, stood his ground that what he believed was sexual overtures and attempts to become sexually involved with P. Diddy at P. Diddy's persistence. In fact, he speaks about a time when P. Diddy told him that we could, quote unquote, hang out and I can take you shopping and I'll pay for it.
Right.
But in all honesty, what man tells another man, let's you and I hang out, I'm going to take you shopping and I'll pay for it.
Well, if he's trying to get him on the label, if he's trying to sign him.
And we spend some private time, just you and I together. He made it crystal clear he wanted to spend private time with 50. And so don't no man take another man shopping when he want to spend some private time with you. What I want to say to all young brothers and sisters in the hip-hop industry, the music industry, period, you got to stand up now. You got to not let any desire for wealth, fame, and fortune cause you to be stripped, robbed, and raped of your self-respect and dignity and your manhood and womanhood. And stand with God, because whatever God wants for you, no man can keep it from you. But whatever God don't want you to have, no man can give it to you. It's time that our young people in the hip-hop industry, the entertainment industry, period, stand up and push back against these pedophiles that are running rampant in Hollywood and the music industry.
Well, 50 Cent, I think, was an adult at the time, unlike Bieber we talked about earlier. But the hip-hop industry has hypersexualized women for years. I haven't heard you say nothing about it.
Hollywood has for decades,
okay, but
for
now,
generations.
Are you only concerned because it's homosexual sexualization?
No, I've been saying it for years because I don't like that the rich white moguls who control the distribution of hip-hop music and finance hip-hop music will allow such behavior to flourish and get rich from it.
Diddy was the mogul here.
They're complicit in the exploitation also.
Diddy was the mogul
and
here.
Diddy ain't bigger than no white mogul in the music industry.
Oh my goodness.
The white moguls in the music industry make Diddy look like child's play.
Hey, 50 Cent, good for you to stand up for what's right.
Bring all them freaks down in the entertainment industry.
That's it for the Face Off on Fox Soul. We'll catch you next time.